And good evening once again, everybody. Meteorologist Sean Sublett from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. We're 7:30 on this Friday evening, and that's a live look at the last hour of radar imagery across central Virginia. As the old saying is, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. Lots of greens, oranges, reds, yellows out there, indicating widespread showers and thunderstorms throughout central Virginia. There has not been, mercifully, a lot of truly severe or damaging weather across immediate central Virginia. There have been a few reports down in northeastern North Carolina and near southeastern Virginia of some damaging winds and some hail, but so far, so good in Richmond. Granted, there's some thunder and lightning and some intense rain, but not a lot of true damage. And you can see the back edge of the precipitation much farther out here beyond Farmville and down towards Charlotte County, South Boston. Although, to be fair, there's a little bit beyond that. So I'll do a quick tour of what we've got, or what we're up against here over the next few hours or so. So we'll start here to get your bearings. There's Richmond. So there's 360 going out through Amelia and out to Farmville. There's Route 60, Midlothian Turnpike going out through Powhatan, ultimately going out toward Amherst County. And of course, I-64 heading down into toward Williamsburg, New Kent, and the like there. Everything is kind of moving off to the northeast about 40 miles per hour. So it's going at a pretty good clip. So we don't expect a lot of flooding out of this, other than some brief ponding of water on the roadways. So let's zoom into a couple of spots of interest. One thing we've been watching especially closely this evening is this one cell, and this is westward from Richmond. And I want to highlight it here because it's kind of a curious thing. You see a lot of lightning in these last few frames right there. So there's Richmond. So we're going along the James River. In fact, this part of the cell is crossing the James River from south to north as we speak, out of Powhatan County into Goochland County. There have been some signs of a rotation with this part of this storm. There has not been, wait a minute, so no. Okay, I just saw there was a tornado warning issue, but that is down in Carolina. That is not for this particular cell. Okay, so this particular cell admittedly has had some rotation, but the radar beam is about 3,500 to 4,000 feet by the time it accesses that rotation, and the speed of the rotation is not especially strong in the radar signature. That's why there's not been a tornado warning with this cell just yet. But to give you an idea of what we're talking about, I'll pull in this little tool here, which helps us with the interior storm winds. Watch right there. You see that little dark red spot? And then just on top of that, there's that little green spot. It's telling us that the winds are very strong toward and then very strong away from the radar, suggesting there's kind of a circulation because the radar itself is down in Wakefield near Virginia Diner. That's where the actual radar is. So the radar beam has to go up a certain elevation because it can't go into the ground. So that's why there's no tornado warning on this particular cell. But nonetheless, take this particular cell seriously because there is still some very intense lightning and some very heavy rain moving now out of Powhatan County northward into Goochland. This will be moving across I-64 and into the western part of Hanover County next 15, 30 minutes or so. So that's the one cell that's caught a lot of our attention here over the last really 30, 35 minutes or so. Most of what we have in Richmond, the city itself, and then extending down to the southwest, right along 60 and 360 through most of Chesterfield County, it's just a lot of heavy rain. There's some thunder and lightning for sure, but it's mostly heavy rain, the kind of rain that you want to pause for 10, 15 minutes and let it go by if you find yourself out driving around. But farther upstream, it does tend to back off as you go down beyond Prince George County, 460, down toward Dinwiddie and Nottoway counties. So we still have some heavy rain in Chesterfield County, at least another half hour or so before that tends to back off. But all that down in Chester, crossing the James River down toward Varina, heading up toward Elko, that's going to be going northward through Sandston, Highland Springs, then ultimately back up toward Mechanicsville, which is already getting quite the drink as we speak right now. So in that part of Hanover County, it is still going to be raining pretty hard for a good 30 or 45 minutes or so. A lot of thunder and lightning, but not a phenomenal amount of thunder and lightning. That's why there's no particular severe alerts out for that particular storm. Now, a little farther to the east, I want to follow along with this storm right here. Watch where the little hand is. Kind of see that one right there with the lightning bolts coming cross Route 60, and then it went through Charles City, New King County up to King William, and now it's heading up toward the Northern Neck. There has been the potential for some wind damage. It's not an overly populated area, to be honest, so we may have some trouble getting a lot of damage reports, but there was some very intense wind with that particular cell. Again, it's heading up toward the Northern Neck. So back to the center of the screen for Richmond itself, some very heavy rain pushing through Chesterfield County and Henrico County, east side of Henrico County again, and this is probably going to be 30, 45 minutes before it really clears the metro area and then heads farther northward back up towards, say, Caroline County, Spotsylvania, and those locations. Zooming back out, you see there's not as much action going on there south of 460 down toward I-85. So we will be getting a bit of a break here for a bit. Do look farther upstream, though. This is one thing I'm a little concerned about for later on into the night, even though we're going to get a break in another half hour, 45 minutes. There's more going on out here beyond Route 29, Lynchburg, Danville, and out here in Martinsville, Franklin County, Smith Mountain Lake, out to Roanoke, Blacksburg. Still a lot of storms going on out there. So that's the batch that will probably come through here later on into the night, let's say 10:30, 11 or so. Again, not an awful lot of truly severe weather with this, but some very heavy rain. And there was briefly a tornado warning with one cell well down here. And this is a little bit of a haul from Richmond, to be sure, but that cell down there near Reidsville, North Carolina, south of Martinsville, and southwestward from Danville. So you got friends down in southern Pennsylvania County. Keep an eye on this particular cell, as there may be a tornadic signature with that. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look inside of that one a little bit deeper with the wind tool. Yeah, look at that. You see that red and bluish green hue right there? That shows us where that wind speed or where that wind is kind of spinning in that particular cell. And it's very close on kind of a bearing to take it into southern Pennsylvania County and perhaps into Danville. All right, so let's turn that one off. Zoom back out again for the wider view. So it still looks like we're going to have a good 30 or 45 minutes of rain ahead of us in Richmond, but it does not look like a lot of damage coming for that. There's the in-storm wind, and this one's really just kind of messy. But there's that one cell we were talking about before, crossing the James River now, heading into Goochland County out of Powhatan. All right, moving on. No active warnings now in immediate central Virginia, meaning no severe thunderstorm warnings and no tornado warnings. So that is obviously something good to see. We pull out a little bit further, and those are the ones we were talking about earlier, those orange kind of polygons out there. Those are the storms we need to be mindful of later on into the night, 10:30, 11, perhaps as late as 11:30. And those red ones down there we talked about just to the southwest of Danville, those are the ones that are carrying the tornado warnings. So again, no imminent threat, but even when it breaks here in a little bit, 45 minutes or so, don't think it's entirely done for the night. So let's look at the next 6 hours on the projection of the radar and satellite imagery. Remember here that the clouds are in white, the rain is in the traditional green with the heavier rain in the oranges and yellows. So move this ahead an additional hour or so. We see the next little wave of rain coming in after our break out toward Amelia, Chesterfield County, and Powhatan County. Then that one swings through about 10:30, and we think that's probably going to be it. So that's kind of what we see happening for the rest of the night. Things really tone down after 11:30 or 12 o'clock, so we don't really need to worry an awful lot about being woken up in the middle of the night with a bunch of storms. So there's still the threat for some damaging storms for central Virginia. We think generally through 9. The stuff that's farther out in western parts of the Commonwealth will likely weaken, but still be mindful of that later on into the night. And then as we think into the weekend, briefly, it's a big change in the weather pattern. It's going to be chilly. It is going to be breezy. It is going to be raw. It is going to be damp. It's just not going to be nice to be outside. It's not going to rain all weekend long for sure. In fact, we think most of the time it's actually not going to be raining. It's just got this gray, cold, damp, raw feel to the air. Most of the time it's in the 50s during the day, both Saturday and Sunday. Arguably a little wetter on Saturday versus Sunday. If you got the plans for outside on Mother's Day, have a plan to move them inside. Again, it's not going to be raining all day on Mother's Day, but there are going to be some showers to contend with. And even in the next week, it's going to be hard to get the temperatures back toward normal. So again, as we wind this one down, a good 30, 45 more minutes of some moderate to heavy rain, some thunder and lightning in immediate central Virginia, and another wave comes through later on into the night. So again, we thank you for joining us for the live stream this evening. And of course, also, thank you so much for supporting the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Have a good evening. And if things really start to get a lot worse, we'll be back at it. Thank you very much.